WGPR Detroit HD2.
You're watching WHPS, Highland Park, Detroit. The views and opinions expressed on the following show are not necessarily the views and opinions of WHPS, its affiliates, management, or sponsors.
My name is Watson.
And my name is Mariah.
We're 12 years old.
And we're representing Old Redford Academy Middle School.
And we're here to talk about drugs.
Drugs are very dangerous and unhealthy.
And they can also ruin a relationship with your loved ones. Go talk to a family member, a friend, even a teacher, or you can go to a therapist, or if you need any extra help, you can go online and find all of those.
Hashtag not worth it.
My name is Watson.
And my name is Mariah.
We're 12 years old.
And we're representing Old Redford Academy Middle School.
And we're here to talk about drugs.
Drugs are very dangerous and unhealthy.
And they can also ruin a relationship with your loved ones. Go talk to a family member, a friend, even a teacher, or you can go to a therapist, or if you need any extra help, you can go online and find all of those.
Hashtag not worth it.
Welcome to Expose Under the Sun, and this is your host, Heather Hedheru, my co-host, Darwin Griffin. You will see on our next episode. Today, we're going to have a conversation with a very special person, special to me, special to the world, and the things that she brings to the world makes the difference. And I'm going to introduce her to you in just a moment. I want to talk a little bit about what this show is about. And for me, it is about community wellness. This is about new ways to be able to share information on a deeper level, not just the surface of the conversations that we typically have, but looking at it in a way that helps people to be able to reach those different spaces where they need to be. And doing that through new tools, new information, new opportunities. And so today, my guest is the lovely Sanaa Nia Joy, who is the owner and facilitator for In the Center of Her Power. So Sanaa, welcome.
Thank you so much, Heather. It's such an honor to be here on your show. I mean, you do so many phenomenal things in the community, and I'm just happy to be in your wake on the show.
Thank you. So I want to start off our show today and just give you an idea. So this year we're talking about two things. We're talking about manifesting, and we're talking about joy. Finding our joy in everyday things, finding our joy for ourselves that doesn't necessarily mean that it's connected to someone else. So I think it's important for us to be able to find that joy, because when someone else upsets you, the same person who has been your person that brought you that joy, it may not help you to get out of the state or the stress that you might be in. So we need to have new tools. We need to recognize those things about us, because that joy is what helps us lift ourselves up. It helps us build up our frequency. And when our frequency is higher, that means our health is in a better state. So a good state for our frequency It's between 62 and 68 megahertz. And so that is the frequency of a healthy adult body. And so the more we stay in that space, the healthier we can become. When we get below that 62, we start having headaches or migraines, and illnesses come from that direction. So it's really important that we are being aware of those things that raise our vibration. And so our topic today is talking about storytelling and nature and the wellness that those things bring to us. And so I was sharing with Sanaa earlier that in my research, one of the studies suggested that being in the presence of just plants in general is up to 150 hertz, which again takes us to an area where, and that's probably why so many people have plants in their homes, why people have plants around them. And so it's a good idea to at least have plants around you or to visit the outdoors. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that as we talk about my guest, Sanaa Nia-Joy. So welcome again, Sanaa.
Thank you so much, Heather.
So can you talk to us a little bit about how you started and where the center of her power came from, that concept?
Yes. In the center of her power is really a mantra for me. It's my prayer. It's the prayer that I can live and work and breathe in the center of who God created me to be, in the center of my mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical bodies. Because I think it's something that I'm still aspiring to do. I started in the center of her power and was given the name in probably 2007 when I started teaching belly dance. I wasn't really feeling confident about teaching belly dance, about being in front of people, showing my body. It's like, God, this is really what you want me to do? What? So I was given the name in the center of her power as an aspirational mantra.
Okay.
For me to look toward. And it really, to me, it speaks about how many of us often live outside of our personal power because we are adjusting ourselves to conform.
Yes.
To conform to our families, to conform to relationships, jobs. The universe, well, not the universe, but the United States is designed to have people conform. Whether you are black and you have a particular set of mores, rules that you live within, or you're a woman, and as a woman, say for an example, women aren't supposed to really like sex. You know, they're supposed to just be the mother, the pristine woman who is almost asexual, except for when her husband says it's okay not to be asexual.
Right.
So that's really, to me, what the culture says. That may not be how it's actually functioning in life, and I hope that it's not. But when you step aside from what your natural desires, your natural tendencies are, then you are not living in the center of who you are. And so if you're not in the center of who you are, then you can never be fully powerful.
Right.
You can never speak truth from your heart and from your core and have it really be the full truth unless you are able to balance the positive, the negative. You talked about frequency, but so we all have an electromagnetic field, and there's a positive and a negative aspect to it. And then so everything in our lives, in nature, is all about reciprocity. There, for every reaction, there's an action.
Yes.
And so for every action, there's a reaction. And so we're all balancing. We're balancing our lives. We're balancing what we show about ourselves and what we don't show. We're between our sun sign and astrology and our moon sign. So, and we're balancing all the time. And often we become out of balance because we have to lean more maybe to our masculine side because we have to go out and make things happen and make a living, and so we don't get a chance to really be in our feminineness. Because we're having to push that asunder so that we can be out in the world and make things happen.
Right, right.
when you're doing that, when you're using more of your masculine or more of your feminine, then you really don't have the opportunity to be balanced.
Right.
So so you're not in your full power. And that's really what In the Center of Her Power is. It's a constant mantra, a constant aspiration to live and work and breathe and be in the center of my power.
That's awesome. And it's such a good space to be in when you are working on balance, and you can feel when all of the stress is at its minimal and your joy is at its maximum. And so that's why I am looking for 2022 to be this opportunity for us to share in finding our joy, to share in the manifesting of that joy. And so before I go any further, I want to make sure I give you a good call-in number. So if you have questions for Sanaa or questions about your journey, that you'll have a chance to call in and share it with us. I'm going to ask you to dial in 868-4336 or 313-868-0351. So I'm going to try to remember to tell you that again a couple of times. Thanks for putting it on the screen. So hopefully you'll have a chance to call in and talk a little bit about what we're doing and how you can express your joy and how you are manifesting this year. So as we get deeper in our conversation, Sanaa, my next question for you, and thank you for first being the facilitator of In the Center of Her Power. And we know that the vision always starts with us, but it also begins to expand because part of our individual healing is the basis for our community, our collective, our family healing. So I really thank you for that and all of the work that you've done over the years to help people to find that balance in wherever they are and whatever work they've been doing to find that balance and to continue to share that message. So I want to talk a little bit about how that message is being shared now through In the Center of Her Power and the additional work that you're doing. And so I know that in this season, this idea of storytelling has become a passion of yours. And I would like for you to tell us a little bit about that and a little bit about some of the upcoming things that you have related to people telling their stories.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that entrance. I think it's really important for each of us to be able to speak our truth, like I said, and to tell the story of how we got to the truth of who we are. And maybe it's not the full truth. Maybe you will adjust at some point and you will change. But our stories are really important. And for me, I went through a period where I wasn't talking because I felt like everything I said was maybe going to hurt someone. And so I didn't speak much, even though my degree is in communications, as is yours. So, but I didn't really speak. And now I feel that there have been certain things that have happened in my life that really need to be spoken in order for me to be able to move forward. And I think other people may have the same need.
Yes.
And so right now I'm into podcasting. I started a podcast last year called Center Her Power Podcast, which is focused on women who are typifying the divine feminine. This year I see the opportunity to talk about stories that have changed and shaped our lives. I know you may have mentioned here that one of the things that started you on your spiritual path was a harrowing experience in someone who passed away. So those are the kind of stories. And so after that happened, then you were able to move in a different way in the world and are still motivated, it seems, by that experience.
Yes.
And I would like for everyone to be able to tell those experiences, because if we can hear others who have gone through something similar, then we can see an opportunity for us to shift, change, heal, and grow.
Yes, absolutely.
So the new show is going to be starting in February with the new moon, after the new moon, first new moon in 2022. And it's called Ever Since that happened, and then whatever the story is.
Right. Oh, that's going to be really exciting. I can't wait to be a part of that. Sanaa has always included me in some of the activities of this balancing and our healing work. And so I'm really proud of this next season for you, because I know it's going to make a huge difference.
Can I say, you say including you, but generally, I call Heather. Like, Heather, can you be the first one on the show? I don't have any other guests. Can you be the first guest on the show? I'm doing this class and I need to fill it up. Can you come and be in the class? So that's really, thank you for saying including.
Yes, absolutely. When you have someone like you in your life, you have a chance to grow. And I remember when Sanaa had her belly dance classes, I had my mother in the class, two of my sisters were in the class, but what it did for our bonding as a family was amazing. To be able to see my mom feeling free and allowing her body to move in ways that she had maybe had not done in quite some time. It was amazing. It was amazing to see. It was an amazing bonding experience. And so all of that, the opportunity to be able to gather together, which is another one of your gifts, and how you gather people together to heal, to share their stories, to make a difference. Because I think when we do gather together, it's a huge part of making a difference. It's a huge part of that story sharing. And I know we talked about this before, that there have been times where when I was younger, I would sit around my we called her Grams. I would sit around Grams. Grams did hair out of her house. And so there were, the grown folk stuff. The kids could be seen, but not heard, right? But it was such juicy stories and exchanges being told that, I could be a fly on the wall, right? I could be a fly on the wall. I don't have to speak. I just want to hear all the grown-up stuff that's being taught. But more importantly, the stories that were being shared. It was history being passed down. It was recipes being passed down. It was life lessons being passed down. So having this platform for people, and are you accepting people to share those stories, and how are they able to get in touch with you?
Yes, if you have a story that you would like to share, I would love to hear about it. So please contact me. You can reach out to me on my website, which is centerherpower.com, centerherpower.com. You can find me on Instagram at Center Her Power Podcast, Instagram, Center Her Power Podcast, or you can email me at Sanaa, SANAA, at centerherpower.com. Sanaa at centerherpower.com. So please, if you have a story, if your father, your brother, your sister, anybody in your family has a story that you think could really be compelling or that they just need to share, please contact me.
That's awesome. Thank you again for making that platform available. And so my next question is to talk a little bit more about this healing power in nature. So I know in some of your work over the years, you work with organizations that work with environmental issues. You work with organizations that work with youth and helping to expose them. Can you tell a little bit about those experiences?
Yes. Thank you so much for mentioning that. I love nature. And actually, I met you. Was it right before or right after I started working with the East Michigan Environmental Action Council? I think it was before, because I was really focused on the business and Center Her Power business at that time. I think that connecting to nature is a way for us to know ourselves more, and it's a way for us to relieve stress and to have a spiritual experience or connection that doesn't necessarily need anyone else to be there. The water, we live in a really fabulous place in the sense that we're near a lot of fresh water. We're near riverfronts and lakefronts, and so we can always have the energy of water available for us. And we could have a whole show on water and how it impacts the spiritual implications of water.
Yes.
So, and I think that when children are taught to connect to nature, that they now have a mechanism, a system, a coping mechanism that they can utilize. So whenever they're feeling stressed, instead of maybe going to drugs or whatever it is you may use, you can go outside and take a walk. And that's what I was always hoping to impart to children that I worked with. So what I'm really interested in now is kind of delving more into the psychological, emotional connections that we as adults can have in nature, the transformational experiences that we can have in nature. I've done master's work in eco-psychology, and eco-psychology looks at the connection, the transpersonal opportunity that we have to grow and transform in nature.
Okay.
So take a look, just keep your eye out. Once we're past this COVID thing, then I'm going to be doing more activities outside. And, I'm actually going to be doing some belly dance classes outside as a part of the Passing the Torch, Preserving the Flame grant that I'm working on. We're really looking at utilizing art and ritual to organize people for social change.
That's awesome. I mean, there's so many ways to bring wellness to our communities. And one, which is a really important one, and I'll get to this in a minute, especially when we brought up COVID. I'll get to this in a minute. But one of the important ways of this community healing is recognizing the environment that we're in. We're in the city of Detroit or in Highland Park, but we are, like you said, around all these natural waterways, all of these naturally occurring phenomenon that we experience. One of the organizations I think that is really a big part of seeing this new level of and connection with nature is Greening of Detroit. I know at one point they had a mandate to plant up to 1 million trees just in the Detroit area. And so they've done a lot of work in a lot of communities. So I really applaud them for the victories of bringing more trees and more plants and getting more people interested in farming and community gardening. All of those opportunities to interact and engage in nature have been such a tremendous blessing. I know there's another, what is the farm that is near River Ridge? Have you worked with them?
D-Town Farms.
D-Town Farms.
And
yes.
so D-Town Farms actually brings us to the idea of social change.
Yes.
Because D-Town actually started their farm because there were people who were coming into the city who were not from the city but wanted to really utilize the vacant spaces we have to start farming. And D-Town Farms wanted to have a space where people of color, African Americans, could actually be engaged in growing the food and be a part of not just growing food, but food justice. Mm-hmm. Have the right to having healthy food in our stores, healthy food in our lives, and being able to train people, and especially with children. That's one of the things I worked one of the topics I worked around is food justice and helping young people to understand how important it is to have healthy food and to demand that healthy food is always available in the stores in our neighborhoods.
So how do we define healthy foods and the ones that we actually can have access to that we can plant ourselves? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, we always want to have vegetables and fruits.
Okay.
So say for an example, a lot of the party stores, not just party stores, but gas stations are places that many people in African American communities, and Detroit is actually considered a food desert, or at least it once was. I know we have more grocery stores than we used to in the early 2000s. But we really want to make sure that the food that we're receiving, not only is it fresh, but that it does not have an overabundance of chemicals and pesticides, because the pesticides and chemicals is part of what is making it difficult for us to digest our food. Wow. And is helping us to be more obese. Mm-hmm. And so we have also high fructose corn syrup and other additives that are really common that are not healthy for us and are exacerbating the issues like diabetes and obesity and high blood pressure that are rampant in African American communities. So it's important for us to have roughage and vegetables and fruits, and it's important also for us to be able to know that the food that we're eating has not been laden with pesticides and picked before it was ripe.
Oh,
and then
wow.
And then they put chemicals on the food while it's being transported to us, and then when it gets to the grocery store, then they have pesticides and dye to make it look fresh.
Wow.
So that's why it's important to, if you can, to grow your own food or to get it as close to where you live as possible, to like farmers markets.
That's awesome. Thank you for that. That is the type of community information that we need. Looking at the deeper meanings of not just why we need it to digest food properly, or why we need it for reduction of pesticides and the other additives that are put in our food, but also because it helps us to be well just being in nature, putting your hands in the soil, planting seeds. These are all principles of harvest and manifesting. And remember, 2022 is one of our manifesting years. So that means that not only what you put in your body is important, but what comes from your thoughts and your mind and your actions is important.
And
so
I just
to
want
the
to say one quick
manifesting
thing. I know we're about to close, but we as African Americans have a unique ability to connect to nature. We, people of African descent, were brought to this country because of our ability to cultivate the earth. So African Americans have a unique, innate ability to be able to connect to nature and grow your own food or plants, and that's a part of what we need. We need a healthy mind and a healthy body in order to even think about manifestation.
Yes, thank you. And also, as we continue to look at how nature is an ally, right? Nature can help us to supersede some of the things that man's actions or inactions help to shift who we are and who we can become. So we need for more people to be awakened to this new generation, that we need to still teach them these ways of how to engage in healthy lifestyles, how to make healthy decisions, how to make healthy choices from what's within you, but also is what's outside of you. What environment are you surrounding yourself in? And I know with a lot of our young people, they have a lot of interest in the technology. They were born into this generation of this massive number of technology, and it's almost the opposite of being connected to nature. It makes them go inside as opposed to being outside. What do you have any ways that we can help to?
This to me is, oh my goodness. Sometimes I see people and they're just like hovered to their phone, and then I've seen some. I mean, I know I sound like an old lady now. I guess I am sort of, but some of the artists that are popular right now, to me, look like demons.
Oh, wow.
I mean, just like the hair and the tattoos, and I know that some young people are not gonna, but really, if you want to, you can take your phone outside, but you don't have to necessarily be looking at it. You can maybe have it aside. Maybe you can use it to determine what kind of plant you're looking at,
right,
or how the trail is moving. But it's one thing to use the phone as a tool. It's another thing for the phone to actually be what you utilize to find your way in the world. So
that's a huge statement. That's a huge statement, that you can use it to help to advance your education, your knowledge, your understanding, but for it to be your total source of all things, then you kind of cross the line to imbalance.
Right. So where's the power lie? I mean, we're the humans. We created this technology, and so we should have dominion over it, not it over us.
Correct. That's huge. That's a huge perspective. So those of us that are on this journey, we know that we're in this age of technology, and it's not to take away from our young people, because they were birthed in this time to help advance it and to use it and not be used by it. And I really appreciate that sentiment too. It's just a great time. It's a great time to be alive. And I want to talk about
transformational time.
It is transformational, and I just want to encourage those of us in our families and our communities that are fighting this COVID, this COVID pandemic, and all of the after effects of that. Find yourself time, 30 minutes, at least 30 minutes a day, regardless of how you're feeling on the inside. Find your way outside. Spend your 30 minutes gaining your vitamin D. That sunlight is going to be good for you. That fresh air is going to be good for you. That ingestion of expanding your lungs is going to be good for you. Take the time to especially meditate, pray. Use that time that you're outdoors to really take it all in, because it's all there for your health and your wellness. In our community, despite what we might call the blight in our community, we look at the overgrowth of weeds and we call them weeds, we call them blight, but that's actually nature. That's
some
nature.
of them are medicines.
Lots of them are medicine. Lots of them are the very medicines that we need, but that we put the label on them as weeds as if it's something that's detrimental to us as opposed to a part of our healing process. With just a slight change of your lens, you have the healing, the balance that we've been talking about that you might need to just help you get to that next level of healing and wellness. So as we kind of close today, I want to leave you with this thought about finding your joy. I want you to find your joy, and I want you to try to find that joy outside of the walls that we constantly are place ourselves in. If those walls are the walls of work, take a step outside. There are some people that go outside to smoke. I think it's just an excuse to be outside in nature. That's okay if you need that opportunity to take that 5 minutes, 10-minute break. Do that also for our kids as they're confined for the virtual learning and this virtual education. Have them take quick breaks outside in the fresh air. Allow them to take in deeply that fresh air so that it helps to cleanse their thoughts and their minds as well. So
Allow them to play outside. I mean,
yes,
we played outside. In the winter, it was like when there was snow, that was like time for sledding and snowball fighting. And so play. Think of it as playing.
Thank you for that. And as we close today, I want to remind you and thank Detroit Native Sun News for sponsoring this show, Expose Under the Sun. I'm your host, Heather Head-Haru. I'm here with Sanania Joy in the Center of Her Power. And I want to ask you that if you're looking to do advertising, consider Detroit Native News Sun News and call Valerie at 313-457-5944. Thank you. Looking forward to our next exciting episode of Expose Under the Sun.